Can you believe the leader of the opposition tried to score political points by accusing the Prime Minister of dodging Parliament because he was at NATO? No, seriously, that's the level we've reached. While Keir Starmer was on the global stage securing defence commitments and coordinating with allies, Kemi Badenoch stood up in the House of Commons and accused him of evading accountability because he missed PMQs.
He has evaded Prime Minister's questions for 2 weeks. Only to come back here to tell us what we already heard on the news. This is a weak statement from a weak Prime Minister, which can be characterised in 2 words: noises off. Instead, we have an Attorney General using international law to constrain and restrict the UK while the Prime Minister hovers indecisively on the sidelines. What we need is a leader. Instead, we have 3 lawyers. To get spending on national security to 5% is just hope. The reality is Labour does not have a plan to get to 3%. It is all smoke and mirrors. And we do not know what the government will spend this extra 1.5% component on. So can the Prime Minister confirm whether this is money that we are already spending or whether there will be any new money? The Prime Minister may have finally returned to this House after a fortnight away, but in truth, he is all at sea. Irrelevant on the world stage, impotent in the face of rising illegal immigration, and now with 126 of his own MPs all openly undermining his authority, his government is incapable of making even the smallest changes to bring down the cost of our ever-expanding welfare bill. There is no way they're going to be able to pay for our defence. This is a government that is paralysed by its own legal advice, paralysed by its rebellious backbenchers, and paralysed by the fear of being found out for having no real vision for this country.
Mr. Speaker, we live in more volatile times than many of us can remember, with conflicts in many parts of the world that are evolving in a very fast and dangerous way. There's never been a more important time to work with our allies and to be absolutely serious in our response. That response was unserious. Unserious. To suggest at a time like this that the Prime Minister attending the G7 summit and the NATO summit is avoiding PMQs is unserious. What happened at NATO yesterday was historic. It was very important at a time like this that NATO showed unity and strength with a commitment to the future, not just to the past. That took a huge amount of work with our allies over the last few days and weeks. We have been centrally involved in that, crafting the final outcome, and we were recognised as having done so. I'm proud that we helped put that summit into the right place yesterday, and the world emerged safer as a result. And that was the unanimous view of 32 allies leaving NATO yesterday. For the leader of the opposition to belittle it just shows how irrelevant she and the party opposite are becoming. They used to once be serious about these issues. They used to be capable of cross-party consensus. And all of that is slipping away. We've led on Ukraine, 3 trade deals, and she talks about the prospect of US attack. She must have overlooked the fact that on Tuesday, when I returned from the G7, the first thing I did was go straight into a COBRA meeting to plan for all contingencies, including a possible US attack on Iran. And I'll tell her why I did that, although we did offer a Privy Council briefing, so she knows this.
Now, here's the thing. When it comes to national security, there's a long-standing expectation that both parties put politics aside. We show a united front. We don't use war zones and defence summits to play games. But Kemi, well, she saw NATO as a PR opportunity for herself. And if you were unsure before, well, now it's painfully clear. She has absolutely no idea how to lead the opposition. Her speech wasn't a critique, it was just a tantrum. She rambled on about Diego Garcia, tried to score points off legal advice she clearly didn't understand, and claimed Britain was on the sidelines at the very summit where we were being praised for leading. It was so bad that even her own backbenchers started pushing back. One MP even risked losing the whip just to say this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whilst we may disagree on the detail, can I agree with the Prime Minister that as far as possible in this place, it would be better to keep partisan politics out of national security issues? And who knows, I may get the whip withdrawn for saying that, but so be it. There are things that go beyond party politics. So can I thank the Prime Minister for all his hard work in the national security interests of this country?
And honestly, I respect to him because it needed saying. But just when you thought it couldn't get worse, yeah, it does.
Alan Gavin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Would the Prime Minister care to comment on what our adversaries will think when they hear the Leader of the Opposition mistakenly say we can't afford our defence commitments? Does such a fatuous response keep our country safe?
No, it doesn't. It was frankly embarrassing to suggest I shouldn't have been at NATO or the G7. And I think our backbenchers recognise it. That's not the position traditionally of the Conservative Party. The sooner they get back to that position, the better.
Right, Mandela.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's clear today that the Leader of the Opposition should never represent the United Kingdom on the world stage. Absolutely outrageous, Mr. Speaker. But I am grateful to my right honourable friend for his statement and following the comments of other honourable members.
Well, he shouldn't worry too much about the Leader of the Opposition representing our country. She never will. Mr. Speaker, if she did, the chair at the NATO summit would have a little sticky note on it saying busy at PMQs, presumably. Mr. Speaker, that's how unserious her point is.
Now, she's threatened to vote against the government's own $5 billion welfare cuts, not because she disagrees with them, like opposes them, but because she wants even bigger cuts. Her target is $12 billion, and her condition for voting with the government, no tax rise in the autumn. Think about that. She wants to slash the welfare budget more than the government, but refuses to support even this plan unless they swear to her fiscal wish list in advance. It's not scrutiny, that's just sabotage. And again, it just shows that she doesn't understand the role. Opposition isn't about throwing ultimatums at the government you claim to disagree with. It's about presenting a serious, coherent alternative. Right now, she's just lobbing hand grenades from the cheap seats and hoping nobody noticed that she doesn't have a plan of her own. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Surely that this kind of public humiliation would make someone pause for breath. Nope. Cut to the interview afterwards, and Kemi is still doubling down. She actually says that PMQs could be just moved to Thursday, like this is the school timetable, and she insists that she's the one standing up for the people.
But today you accused him of evading PMQs because he was at the G7 and NATO. One of your own MPs has been openly critical of you today and saying, maybe he might get the whip withdrawn. Are you going to do that? And also, are there real questions about your own authority?
Catherine, thank you very much for that fantastic question, which I'm sure the entire room is keen to hear the answer about whether I'm removing the whip from someone for asking a question. No. I love answering questions. The Prime Minister does not. It is perfectly possible to move PMQs to Thursday. There's no reason why it has to be on Wednesday. You used to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but he doesn't want to have PMQs. And the reason why is because he doesn't like answering questions. Anybody who's ever watched PMQs will see that he doesn't answer anything. He didn't answer any of the questions that I asked him in the statement that he had on the G7 and NATO. And the fact is, if I have an MP criticising me for criticising the Prime Minister, then we need to ask, what is the point of being in opposition if you cannot point out where the government is going wrong? That is my job. We are here to hold the government to account. And there are too many people out there who think that the Labour Party and the Conservative Party have been hand in glove in causing problems for this country. Me cozying up to the Prime Minister when I think he's made mistakes is not the way for us to win back public trust. We need to show that we're on the side of the people out there, not just having a cosy parliamentary session. And I will make sure that every time I'm standing at the dispatch box, I am standing for the people out there, those makers and takers, who want to know how the economy is getting back on track.
Even the Liberal Democrats jumped in to say what everyone else was thinking.
Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I thank the Prime Minister for early sight of his statement? Can I say that Liberal Democrats agree that it would have been wrong to leave an empty chair in front of the Union Jack at the table for the G7 and NATO? and that it's astonishing, and I share his surprise, that it's now Conservative policy not to attend the G7 and NATO. Mr. Speaker.
What a timeline we're living in. This isn't leadership. This is what happens when the opposition becomes theatre, when someone starts to believe that being loud equals being right. And if you needed a sign, this is the Conservative Party cracking under its way to its own nonsense. Well, this is it. Kemi thought she was making a statement. Instead, she just made a case for why she should never, ever be trusted with national security. And why is she trying to make the loudest noise? Well, I do actually think I have the answer, and you can watch it in the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.